All right, we're in the draft now. Just started. Pick number one is on the clock. And just to go over the scoring settings quickly, it's just your standard, start seven with one flex, two running backs, two receivers. It's a full PPR, and then 4 point passing touchdowns for quarterbacks. So we'll discuss as we go our strategy around this scoring format. Probably the most common you'll get out there.
Yeah, and also we should mention that this is only an 8-team league, so that combined with the fact that it's only like start seven plus the kicker and defense, it's as shallow as it gets. So we're swinging for upside here. I mean, that's all that really matters. We're also going to place a greater emphasis on getting an elite quarterback and tight end.
Yeah, we're on the clock right now. Let's talk through
Okay.
this.
Yeah, so
It's
Jamar Chase and Bijan Robinson went for the first two picks. What are you thinking here, Blake?
Yeah, pretty standard. It's obviously pretty difficult to guess, or not to guess, pretty difficult to pick between such good players because of the format. I am leaning running back now.
Okay.
If it was a 12 man, I think you could definitely go with the receiver here in Jefferson and
Mm-hmm.
Lamb. Are we on board that Jameer Gibbs would be the highest upside swing here?
Yeah, I think he has to be the pick. I mean, of course, you could say it's pretty close between Gibbs and Saquon, but I think the difference is there's just less risk with Gibbs, with him being right in his prime, and it just seems like he could be poised for that legendary running back kind of season. Whereas with Saquon, I could certainly see him like running for 2,000 yards again and being awesome, but there is additional risk with just him falling off the age cliff or just having some natural regression because it's tough after you've had that many touches and everything like that.
So let's talk about why we went a running back there with the first pick. This is probably the most important thing to come away with in this video. If we can send anyone away with any tip, you must know for this year of drafting. The receivers are awesome in mid rounds. Normally, it's not like that. You might want to target them you might generally want to target them in your previous years in these mid rounds. We have top 10 rookies, first round other rookies going, in ADP around rounds what 8 to 10 on here. So we'll discuss those guys in greater when we get to it. I would say a kind of a rule of thumb is do not come out of your first 3 rounds with two receivers. It's okay to come out with one, but leave it at that. All right, Dan, we are 3 picks away now at what will be pick 14. Not used to pick 14 being the back of the second, as this is, again, an 18
Right.
team league. Again, we're just talking about loving these running backs early this year because of options at receiver.
Yeah.
I am seeing Derrick Henry sneakily hiding them down there.
Yeah.
Um, we know we're gonna have awesome receivers. Is between Henry and Brian Thomas, Drake
Mm-hmm.
London. Do you feel better about Derrick Henry, even though it's full PPR, or?
I mean, I love Derrick Henry this year. I definitely think that'd be a solid pick here. Full PPR or not, like he's just awesome. He's just going to produce in just about any format. The only thing I'm wondering is this like our one chance to get like a true locked and loaded stud wide receiver for our team?
Yeah, it's we would be giving up a big opportunity to pass up on receiver. Again, I guess the alternate is we can look in this format. We probably can go ahead and get Chase Brown or Bucky Irving with our next pick, or Jacobs. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a good tiebreaker for this for what we're looking at on the board. We're basically guaranteed to get one of those running backs. I think we can go ahead and pick our favorite receiver.
Yeah. So which receiver do you like best between London, AJ Brown, and Brian Thomas?
All awesome picks. I actually had a thought today about. I actually think Drake London's the right pick here. I don't know if
Yeah,
you
I,
knew
I
that.
I agree. That's what I was thinking. Even though he's third down the board, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
He's the best choice here.
Yeah. Um, clicked Drake London. Drake London is our choice. Very tight picking between these players. Yeah, I'll just say the reason that I love Drake London, There is no one else in that offense. You have Michael Penix, who we know is a gunslinger. I mean, just amazing numbers in that 3 game sample. So, really nothing to not love about Drake London going into this year. There are a couple things that could kind of poke on Brian Thomas, but he's, of course, amazing as well.
Yeah, you're right, Blake. London had an amazing stretch during those, what was it, like last 3 games playing with Penix there. So it does seem like that they have a great connection. You also have the injury to Darnell Mooney. So yeah, in terms of the passing game in Atlanta, like it's pretty much London, and then there's not a whole bunch else after that. So yeah, I think he's the clear choice. I think he's could definitely be poised to easily have like a top 5 wide receiver finish this season. Whereas with like Brian Thomas, he's competing with Travis Hunter, who could be awesome. And then AJ Brown. I mean, AJ Brown's a stud. Like he might have been my second choice there. But there is still some concern with the Eagles' passing volume. And yeah, London's younger and just feels like there's a little more upside and full PPR. I think he's just gonna be a target monster.
We're just about back on the clock here. This is going to be a tough choice. There is someone who, projects out to be awesome, especially in full PPR, and Chase Brown down this board. Jacobs goes, which makes our decision maybe a little bit easier, but obviously JT is really talented as well, and Bucky Irving. Those are probably our top 3 guys here. Although there is Brock Bowers, who is pretty
Yeah, I was
interesting
gonna
as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
Bowers and McBride are still there. I think getting a tight end, an elite tight end in this format is gonna be pretty critical with it only being 8 teams and essentially
yeah.
start 7 offensive players.
I think there is a chance that people might just fade tight ends in this. I've seen some drafts. It just is kind of a common thing they might fade it. But what do you
Yeah.
think? Do you think we just don't care about that and we just go ahead and take who we think is the tight end one because it's full PPR? Which way do you
And
think?
what about the quarterbacks too? I mean, I think elite quarterbacks going to be huge in this league. You have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all still there. I mean, the tight ends are higher in the ADP. I'm not exactly sure why. I usually don't see it that way. Uh,
Normally I
Gosh, yeah,
would lean, but you just look and there's not too many picks because it's the 8 team league. I am just as happy taking Hurts really as I am the other.
okay.
So I think there's a good chance we get one of those 4 to come back to us at pick 30.
Okay, so is it then between like taking a tight end like Bowers or running back like Chase Brown or Bucky?
Yeah, I mean honestly, just talking this through,
Tight
I just
end?
think I think we just don't care
Yeah.
about the ADP. I think we just go ahead and just take Brock Bowers. I mean, my God, he
Yeah, and
amazing?
do you definitely like Bowers over McBride?
A slight edge, like I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's if it was like a tight end premium, which of course we're not going to be dealing with in redraft.
Yeah.
I got to give the edge to Bowers here. Good
Yeah,
with
I
it.
think more upside. I mean, the rookie season he had was unbelievable. I know we've seen some sophomore slumps from guys like Sam Laporta and Kyle Pitts in recent years. But come on, that streak has to break at some point. I mean, Bowers just seems too talented. And what if he actually takes a leap in his second year? I mean, and he could be the clear #1 target in his offense, which is something you love for just getting a crazy tight end season from someone. So yeah, I think Bowers is the right pick there.
Yeah, in a 12-team league, especially if you're playing in half PPR leagues, very difficult to justify paying that second or third round capital on Bowers. Much
Mhm.
harder. In
Yeah,
this, we're more focused on getting a top quarterback, a top tight end.
yeah,
Feeling awesome with that. We have a lot of confidence down the board that for you watching, we'll identify targets if you want to go with the strategy of how to target these other players down the board at receiver and running back to compensate for taking a quarterback or tight end early. With that being said, whether it's an 18 league, 12-team league, quarterback is very deep this year. But I think regardless of because of how the round 3 plays out, elite quarterback is an awesome strategy this year. It's not the end of the world if you miss out, but quarterbacks are just so predictable. These top 4 guys: Allen, Hurts, Lamar, Jaden Daniels. There's just too much correlation and their fantasy points connected to their rushing. It's not like the CJ Strouds of last year. I think that's very important to point out.
In a shallow format like this with only 4 points per passing touchdown, it feels like you need to get one of those top four rushing QBs. Because there are only two elite quarterbacks left here, we don't want to risk getting sniped on both of them with the two teams that are picking between our two next picks. So yeah, we got to go QB here.
Yeah,
So
any lean between Daniels and Hurts, a lot of people might have to make this decision.
yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I think Hurts has just proven year after year he's just an elite fantasy quarterback. So I think he's the safer choice. Jaden Daniels maybe has a little more upside. Could he take a leap in his second season? And just younger, more explosive, faster. I think you'd have certainly a better chance of like rushing for 1,000 yards. So I think I'd lean toward Jaden Daniels, but wouldn't argue with you too hard. I don't know if we want to think about any stacking options later. I mean, if we took Hurts, Devonta Smith could be a nice stack later. If we took Jaden Daniels, is Terry McLaurin still on the board?
Yeah, something good to
Oh
consider.
no, McLaurin just went.
Oh,
McLaurin
okay.
went.
Yeah, something good to
Yeah,
consider. Not too worried about it for this because it
format
feels like
redraft.
yeah, there's who knows if we even get the option to
Yeah, it's
do
not
that.
that
So
critical. So I think I'd lean Daniels for the more upside. Would
yeah,
you agree with that?
I'd agree. Like Jalen Hurts is a sure thing as well, but
Mhm.
Daniels has a chance to actually take a step from what he did
Yeah,
last year. I mean, he was
right.
right on par. He had a couple down games due to a rib injury early. After that, I mean, really just on pace with all these guys and Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
Josh Allen. I don't think there's a wrong choice though. I'm just as
Oh, for
happy with
sure.
Hurts.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think back on how like Lamar Jackson was MVP of the NFL in his second season. He had just that unbelievable year. Same with Patrick Mahomes in his second season. I mean, how many touchdowns did he have that year? Like almost 50, I think. Like 5,000 yards. So we have definitely seen some historic type of year two leaps from quarterbacks in recent years, or at least going back a few years. I mean, I know you could look at like C.J. Stroud last year, and he had the sophomore slump. I don't know if there'd be any other examples of that, but I definitely love the upside for Daniels in year two.
Yeah, don't be worried because of Stroud last year for
Yeah.
JJ. Not the same at all. I get how people could get there. I think you might almost have a little bit of a discount in your drafts potentially, with
Mm-hmm.
Daniels maybe going fourth or yeah, you know maybe you can slip in the fourth round like he did to us here in this 8-man league, middle of the fourth. Our draft choice will it looks like pay off taking the quarterback. Of course, Hurts is there though, but I mean I think the guy we're leaning to here probably is Hampton, rookie upside. I love Devonte Adams, love Garrett Wilson and JSN as well. We do
Mm-hmm.
know though that there's going to be some just amazing receiver values, especially in an 8-team league, all the way down the board. I'm definitely leaning just shoot for the moon here with a locked and loaded guy out the gate. Could be a potential league winner.
What
And
about Travion Henderson, though? Are you considering him? Because, I mean, Henderson's probably not going to be available at our following pick. So I think we really just need to pick which
yeah,
running back we like better here and not worry about ADP.
yeah. I mean Hampton just projects for more volume. I love Henderson. I just wouldn't take Henderson over Hampton. I don't think it's that big of a difference, but
Yeah.
I would certainly lean Hampton uh, ahead.
Okay. And you're not too worried about Najee being taken off the NFI list and potentially being ready for week one?
Not too worried right now. People might be worried about it. He just hasn't even practiced with his team, so
Mhm. Yeah.
we don't
He's
even
got to
know.
be kind of behind on things.
Maybe he's got an eye patch on still too, so or a glass
Right.
eyeball. I definitely lean Hampton.
Okay. And yeah, none of the receivers are really jumping out at you here, screaming, to be picked.
Not because I'm looking down the board and my God, there's some receivers down there.
Yeah.
So
And what about Kamara? I mean, is that one of those things where we look back and think like, hey, we should have just gone with the tried and true Kamara, probably getting a million catches and targets this year?
don't think so because there's just other backs down the board that can do the same. I mean,
Yeah.
he's always an awesome pick, but
Yeah. Okay. Let's go
yeah,
Hampton. I'm good with that. I mean, definitely. I mean, there's always an inherent upside in taking a rookie because you just never know like what you might be getting in a good way. So yeah, I like the rookie upside of Hampton.
especially in an 8-10 team league. if Hampton doesn't pan out to pay off his cost, especially early in the season, I'm not
Mhm.
worried at all. We can draft around that. We can strategize. We'll talk about
Yeah.
maybe how we'll do that in our future picks. We know that there's going to be amazing receivers down there. I do want to shout out before we even get there. We're probably praying that another rookie running back comes back around to us in Henderson, as you
Oh,
mentioned
it looks like he
earlier.
just went.
Did you just go? Okay,
Yeah.
Henderson is just a must target guy in all these drafts as well. Normally, you're going to have Hampton off the board before you got to make that choice, especially if you're in like a 12 team league. But, both are awesome running back targets. I feel like we got a pretty good deal on Hampton there. All right, we're up in round 6. Devontae Adams is still on the board, big time faller. We have some intriguing rookie like or not second year players like Marvin Harrison Jr., Xavier Worthy, even Rashid Rice, who's going to be suspended down the board. Where do you lean here, Dan?
It's really tough. I feel like Garrett Wilson might be the safest pick because he's the clear number one in his passing offense. I know the Jets don't project for a ton of passing volume, and Justin Fields isn't the greatest passer in the world. But I mean, he could have an absurd number of targets this year, regardless, just because there's really no one else to throw to there. I could also argue Marv just for the upside of a year two breakout and just the prospect he was and is.
Yeah, between Adams, he's the veteran. Do you lean those other guys ahead of him? Or is it like we take Adams and then we shoot for the rookies, our favorites like Igbuka and stuff in these future rounds and kind of balance it out that way?
I mean, I might lean Wilson over Adams, but I
Okay,
mean, if you
yeah.
feel pretty strongly that Adams is the choice, like, I mean, I'm more than good with that.
I'd be good with Wilson as well. I was just
Mhm.
thinking more, touchdown upside with Adams. I think you could really get that high elite weekly floor or ceiling
Okay.
with
Yeah. I
Adams.
mean, I did just read some kind of report that like Stafford's back could be an issue all year. So it makes me a little nervous. And I feel like Adams would be more negatively affected than Puka. But hey, I mean, we don't mind taking some risks in a shallow league like this. So yeah, I'm good with Adams if
I
that's what you're
know
feeling here.
I know how we're gonna draft. Let's click Adams. I know how we're gonna draft going forward.
Mhm.
He's a big time faller. He's a great guy we can project in week 1. I know we're
Yeah.
gonna end up with rookies. So let's
Right.
just go ahead. Again, we're an 8 team league. I think this is very important for people in the 8 to 10 team leagues that are
Mhm.
that are watching this. In a 12 team league, I think it might be a lot safer to just click Garrett Wilson there. However, we're gonna come away with rookies. We're gonna be able to stash them away on our bench. And if Devonte Adams just is deleted because of Matthew Stafford mid-season, that's completely fine.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a team built for expecting that. So, um,
Yeah. 100%. I think that's a good call there. I think it's really an underrated thing is just starting the season hot and getting those players that are just going to come out firing and putting up like a massive week 1, week 2, week 3, get you off to a hot 2-0, 3-0 kind of start. That just puts you in such good position for the rest of the season. And then now on top of that, if you have some really high upside rookies sitting on your bench and you're just able to wait for them to develop, I think a guy like Devonte Adams makes a ton of sense there.
yeah, it is very difficult to pass on Garrett Wilson. He is amazing. I've kind of put myself through that the past years. I'm sure many of you out there have as well. Just give me the really good receiver on a really good offense, Hall of Fame level receiver versus the really good receiver on a bad offense with a bad quarterback.
Yeah.
Especially in our situation here with the 8 team. Let's get out to a hot start and let's build around that. All right, we are back on the clock. Marvin Harrison still hanging around. Worthy, Rice, Brees Hall. What do we lean here, Dan? This is kind of a spot where we can go just about anywhere.
Yeah, that's really, really tough. I mean, I think those top three receivers you mentioned all have really good cases for huge upside this season. And we were talking off camera about how with Rasheed Rice, even if he does get suspended for another number of games, this kind of shallow league is the type of league where that's fine. Like if that happens, like that's not going to ruin our team or anything. So I would certainly be fine gambling on Rice here, but man, like you could really make a case for like Worthy has just as much upside, and he probably won't be missing any games, due to a suspension. And I mean, this is an amazing price on Marv. I mean, if people like Marv in like what was it, like the late first, early second last year, I mean, he should be even better this year. And look where we're getting him. I mean, what round is this? One, two, three, four, five, six. What, seventh round? I mean, this is even in an 18 league. This is kind of absurd.
So what do you think?
Gosh, I don't know.
I'm having a tough time just going between here. I could say I could make a good case for anyone. One thing I think is that Worthy actually just ticks off all the box that Marvin Harrison does, but like
Yeah,
better. But I could feel good starting him week one over Marv.
yeah,
Honestly, it sounds crazy. I think I actually lean Worthy if we
yeah,
if we're considering Marv between Worthy and Rice.
yeah. You're right.
That's very difficult for me,
Especially with
but
the upside of a Rice suspension. I mean, that could
yeah,
really be like to the moon.
I, I know you like Worthy. I think we just
Yeah,
lean Worthy. Very
yeah,
difficult decision. If I was drafting alone, I think I actually would have copped out maybe for Rice and then just kind
yeah,
of built the roster around that. But man, it is very difficult. I know that you really like Worthy, and
yeah.
there's a chance Rasheed Rice is suspended. I mean, not just at the beginning of the season, but it actually could be pushed into the fantasy playoffs. That would be,
Right.
I mean, Worthy would be a league winner. I just
Yeah,
if on that field. So man, that is a very difficult decision. Hopefully, no one else out there
yeah.
has to choose between those. If you're in a 12 team league, I think it's important to mention you got to go Marv or you got to go Worthy easily there. You
100%.
cannot afford to click the
Yeah.
Rice suspension, especially if it's like out the gate or just mid season. Doesn't really matter. There's injuries, bye weeks, a lot that can hurt you.
Yeah, and you have to really consider that no one knows for sure how many games Rasheed Rice is going to get suspended for. And the fantasy season, regular season, is only 14 weeks. So let's say Rice ends up getting suspended for like 8 games, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. So that's 8 of the weeks. And then, of course, every player's going to have a bye week. So basically, he's not going to be available for like 9 of those 14 weeks. So you're going to get him for like 5. And then there could also be issues of like, okay, he's back from his suspension. Oh, is he going to be rusty? Is he out of football shape? Do you want to start him the first week he's back from the suspension? Maybe you want to keep him on your bench and see how he looks. So, yeah, how useful is he going to be in a scenario like that?
All right, we are back on the clock. It is now round 8. Now, yeah, 8 team league. This is kind of around your round 5 in your 12 team league, and this is exactly why you want to wait for that second and third receiver. Obviously, you can see we have 3. Again, the rounds it's just a different format to your traditional 12 team. Completely
Mm-hmm.
fine as we've talked through to just take 3 receivers. Obviously, here we're not going to just not take 3 receivers because we're playing in a 8 team league. I mean, the options down here. The only person I would pick apart is Jerry Judy, Baker Mayfield. Beyond that, I mean, these are just awesome picks. Dan and uh, we love JMO Pickens. I think if you're in a half PPR, they're strongly in consideration as well as the guys at the top. But it's full PPR. Again, we're playing an 8 team league. We don't need to start guys out the gate that we're picking right now.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like we want to go for Tet McMillan, who is an awesome prospect. You're on board with that, Dan?
Yeah, it just feels like he has the most upside. Being a rookie, the prospect he is, he's the clear number one target in his offense, an offense that's ascending with, led by a quarterback that's ascending in Bryce Young. So it just feels like we're getting the most upside there. I mean, you could certainly argue for a year 2 breakout from Romo Dunze, who's also a great prospect. I mean, Devonta Smith is a player we both love this year. But he is the number 2 in his offense, number 2 target. Um, but yeah, a lot of great options. I mean, even like Waddle, I've kind of been coming around on, especially if like Tyreek is just sort of getting old or injury prone at this point, or just kind of his off the field antics, whatever. I mean, JMO, I absolutely love this year. So really tough choices here, but yeah, it just feels like Ted is the clear right choice here for us.
Clear distinction here. I think you can go with those receivers ahead, even if it was full PPR. But again, we do not need to start Ted. That's the biggest thing. If you're playing an 8 or 10 team league, the more willing you should be to take these rookies, take these upside swings, second year breakouts, just really talented players that you can see getting better throughout the season. If you're in a 12, 14 team league, going to be a little harder to do that. You need to start prioritizing guys like Devontae Smith, Ridley, JMO, Pickens there. If you
Yeah.
need someone to start, right? I mean, I feel good starting Tet, even in that 12, 14 team league, but I, of course, would feel better about starting those other guys for week
Yeah.
one.
I think the simplest way to put it is when you're in this range of the draft, if that player is going right into your starting lineup when you draft them, then yeah, you're going to want to lean toward JMO, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, George Pickens. But if that receiver that you draft is immediately going to your bench, then you just want to swing for the upside. Ask yourself who has the most upside, and it feels like Tet McMillan is pretty clearly that answer.
Yeah, so looks like yeah, Judy came off the board and Joku. I guess so. We're back up. Man, really want to take another receiver. We know that there are some good receivers. I bet you are probably your favorite guy here. Igbuka's went off. Oh, he's buried. Okay, so we will just wait for that one probably. Let's just go ahead
Yeah.
and take a running back here. I think we're to go Tony Pollard here. Dan, is there anybody else you would take ahead of him?
I mean, it feels weird to take Tony Pollard over like Devonta Smith and JMO.
Yeah,
I mean, there's something that just feels so wrong
of
about that.
course.
I understand your logic that at a certain point here, we're going to run out of like starting running backs. And, Pollard's probably one of the last starting running backs available that you really feel good about, especially if you're maybe starting in week one, which, if we took Pollard, we might start in week one over Worthy.
You can start
Especially
with
if
week one
Ryan
over
came back to,
Hampton, maybe. I mean that could seriously be a
okay.
conversation. I mean,
Yeah, and
Pollard's
also
looking
Tajay
good.
Spears, I think, was just put on the pup list. They also have some injuries to like Khalil Mullins behind him. So I mean, it really could be the Tony Pollard show, another ascending offense. So yeah, I'm good with that. But man, it's hard to click the button on Pollard over those receivers still available.
Agreed. Let's go ahead and click them. 100%. Again, for those of you drafting in this format, which is gonna be a lot of you watching the video, we're just building a roster. We have so many picks
Yeah,
to build this team. We're looking at these running backs after it gets really murky fast after
yeah,
basically Pollard, in my opinion. There, I know there's Aaron Jones, but a lot
yeah,
of really split backfields. When we're recording this, Spears just got put on IR. Pollard is going to be an amazing play, an amazing target for getting out to that hot start, as we mentioned earlier.
yeah,
So I think he's just an easy click. Again,
yeah,
he serves a role for our team, and if he ends up stinking, doesn't really matter. It's a
yeah.
we'll replace him with a higher upside guy down the road. So
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, wide receivers, they're really a dime a dozen in a shallow format like this. I mean, how many do we have already? We have what? Tet, Worthy, Adams, London. We already have four of them. We can only start a max of three each week. We're even gonna continue getting a bunch of additional really awesome receivers or high upside receivers later in the draft. So you really have to think about scarcity. And at this point in the draft, running back is a lot scarcer. I mean, it's a scarcer position in general for players that you feel good about starting, especially to start the season. So yeah, it's not always about like which is the better player. I mean, when you're evaluating that, you really have to think about scarcity. So I think Pollard, he had to be the pick there.
speaking of scarcity, I think we absolutely made the right decision going elite quarterback, elite tight end. We mentioned it's going to be a strategy you normally want to go to. This is why we might have like six receivers or be forcing ourselves to draft
Yeah,
the quarterback 7 when honestly the quarterback 15 it has like a
yeah,
48% chance to outscore the guy
right.
going far
Yeah,
ahead. So, um,
100%.
yeah, scarcity is important. And do want to just throw out there, speaking of the quarterbacks, if you don't get those top four guys, regardless of what room you're in, size wise, just wait. Just let Baker. I love Bo Nix. Just let him go off the board. Kyler Murray, and
Mhm.
shoot for those Drake Mays. You get basically two of like a Drake May, McCarthy, Lawrence, Dak, all those guys that are going much
Bryce
later.
Young.
Bryce Young, just get two of them, and honestly, you'll end up being happy with that unless you get unlucky. Always
Yeah,
there
but
could be
just make
injury.
sure you're prioritizing those later QBs that have some rushing potential. And pretty much all those guys we listed
Yeah,
at least run the ball a little bit. And that can definitely go a long way.
we are back on the clock, round 10, and Jameson. I mean, this is just
Wow.
crazy. I just want to click him right away, but I do want to point something out. We kind of do have a Jameson Williams pick and Xavier Worthy a
Hmm.
few rounds earlier, and
Yeah.
our favorite guys, I believe, are still on the board. Let's go ahead and check that. A receiver. We got these rookies. We got Golden. I mean, Igbuka's just sitting there. Would you lean in this situation just going like Igbuka over JMO because of what we're looking at, and just shoot for the full PPR? Try to hit on that top 12 receiver.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we have two picks coming up, after this pick, we have another one very soon.
We
Then
could.
after that, like it'll be a while. So I feel like we definitely have to take a Buka with one of these next two picks. So the question is, do we go JMO or Golden with the other of the picks?
Is there another position that we want to consider? I think is the question
Oh,
of.
like Tyrone Tracy. I mean, he's one of the last like starting running backs, so he stands out there. I don't know. You think we should just fortify our running back room since this is one of our last chances to get like a starting caliber running back?
Yeah, I would. I guess we are mentioning earlier with Pollard, I would way rather take a receiver, but I say we actually
Okay.
do just go Tracy and then just take
Okay.
whatever
Okay.
receiver. Let's
Yeah.
just get some options at running back just in case of emergency.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's probably smart. I mean, Pollard could always get injured. I mean, Hampton, we don't know exactly what he is. So yeah, I mean, we might as well in a league this shallow where we're going to have absurd depth. It would seem not ideal to have like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 like high upside receivers, and then we only have like 3 running backs that we can start, and then the rest are just handcuffs and whatever. So I think Tracy makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, we gotta ground ourselves and realize we would never say to take Tracy in your 12 team league over. I mean, basically like any of these receivers like up here.
Yeah,
But I mean, in this scenario, we certainly have to. Let's call out some later round receivers here. By the way, I think Jordan Addison's a completely fine, like awesome pick, especially in your like half PPR with a suspension.
yeah,
If you don't need to rely on him at all, but Golden, regardless of what you think about the prospect, if you have an opinion on them, Golden, Igbuka are just like awesome bets for how late you can get them,
yeah,
especially again if you don't need to rely on them. There are going to be guys in your sharper leagues, they're going to be going rounds and rounds earlier. Igbuka is like ranked as a top 40 player by some of the sharpest players out there, and we'd be getting him at pick 83 if we selected him here. So
yeah.
big time values for all of you out there. If you are not aware of that, if you are, you probably have already drafted
Yeah,
Buka.
and don't worry if you're taking a Buka ahead of ADP here because we're not going to be picking again for a while. So Buka's probably not going to be there with our following pick. So it is not a reach by any means. To your point, Blake, it's an amazing value when you consider where sharp fantasy players are taking a Buka and where they have him ranked.
All right, I'm gonna spare everyone here from watching our double-digit round picks. I'm gonna pop up our team, at the end of the draft here, what it looks like. But I think we killed this draft. Please let us know in the comments if you agree, disagree, what you maybe would have done differently. But I really think we made the right decisions going elite quarterback, elite tight end, so many good receivers, running backs on the board throughout the draft in these 8-10 teams leagues. So yeah, I mean, if you haven't drafted yet, highly recommend following what we did. If you think there's something we did wrong or you would change, apply that to your draft. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, be on the lookout for some more fun content like this.